We make no apologies by starting today's programme by paying tribute to our good friend Paul Mariner, who passed away today at the age of 68. What's been striking, what's been emotional, what's been overwhelming over the last 24 hours is that everyone who seems to have met Paul, known Paul, been lucky enough to call Paul a friend, has the same thing to say about him. As great of a contribution he made on the pitch, it was off the pitch where you really met the legend that is Paul Mariner. We'll start with the football bits. We'll start with the fact that he started at Plymouth Argyle. That was his first real professional contract back in 1973. At Ipswich is where he really made his name, so much success at the Tractor Boys. Then he made that big move to Arsenal. And let's not forget his contribution to England. He scored the goal that saw them qualify for the World Cup in 1982. Taking a look at his resume, it's impressive. Of course, for England, he played in the World Cup in 82 and the Euros in 1980, scoring 13 goals in 35 appearances. Ipswich is really where his status is legendary on the pitch. So many Ipswich fans have told me that they had posters of him on their bedroom growing up. A key part of their success winning the FA Cup and the UEFA Cup under Bobby Robson. After he finished playing, obviously, then it was about his managerial career. He was an assistant at New England Revolution, and that's where he settled in Boston and where he started to get us to know us here at ESPN, where he joined the ESPN FC family, where he became, well, our mate. You off Halloween?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Surprise.
Lights off. What, you mean you got all dressed up and you're not going out?
Most exciting game you're ever involved in?
England, Hungary at Wembley. We won 1-0.
Who scored the goal?
Let me think. Me.
Yeah!
But because of my nimble feet, I just... that's your hands. Yeah. It's better to be great at something rather than wear some hideous blazer on the television.
You don't like his jacket, do you?
No, I don't. When you put that T-shirt on, whatever it is, with that jacket,
it's okay.
That's not your game.
Well done, son. Just show us how you text again.
that's a big phone. Paul Mariner's 17th, 49th birthday.
Chocolate mousse.
What?
What?
Come on. Let's get to it.
Hey, get your hands up for that.
You know it. You know it. And you love it.
Yeah. Some weather here on the East Coast, hasn't it? But fear not, Paul Mariner is well prepared. Look at that, Paul. Look at these.
What's wrong with
Look at that.
You're ready for the snow and the rain.
I'm ready for it all.
Well,
on the beach.
Yes, but you can.
Go put your trumpet back in your case.
Show everyone what your trumpet looked like again. Right, that's a trombone.
Well, a trombone, whatever.
That is a brilliant picture. That is geography teacher
Who is
about to retire.
Is it which
No,
finger?
why have you got 3 Maras? Now Dele Alli's come up with a 2.0 version.
Stop it.
That's kind of it, don't?
Yeah, but you're very ambidextrous, aren't you? I mean,
I don't know if Barris quite knows what ambidextrous.
Sweden will win it 1-0.
Wow, he's very confident, isn't he?
What? Hey, he's wrong, but he's confident. He said, I've had to go and buy a new mower, which kills him, right? I said, what's the matter then? He said, well, I can't get it to go in the bag. I said, well, get the rule book out. I mean, go on the internet, put,
Instructions.
The instructions.
So it wouldn't be a rule book.
Get the rule book. What's the rules, right?
Best striker in the world. Paul, you're a striker.
Harry Kane.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. All right, Fred Flintstone. Look, whatever name I come up with, you give me a custard pie right in the mush. What a sick moment for Rooney.
Sick? Oh, sick?
Yeah. Because I thought it was fantastic.
That's quite young rhetoric for you, isn't it, Paul?
You bloody hypocrite. You sat there 5 minutes ago when we were off here. You went, yeah, he's just doing his job, isn't he?
Well, he's doing his job.
Now you've got it as the greatest goal this century.
If he does that with that group, then he needs knighting. The Queen needs to knight that guy because...
Well, I'm not sure if the Queen can knight someone in Argentina.
You see my phone about the number of... What are those things called?
Apps.
Those apps, right? All those things are on it. I've got enough of those things on.
Right.
I don't want any more on it.
Okay. And then what sort of a viewer are you?
Yeah, I get all tingly and nervous and sweaty.
Oh, wow. So you got the tingles. When do they start? National anthem?
Feet. Oh, yeah.
What do we think of Paul's tie today?
What's going on with it? Just because you're brave today with your pink shirt on.
What's the inside? Normally the inside. Oh, look at that.
It's my sharks,
Is
isn't
that
it?
piranhas?
Whatever. You're the expert on fishing.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1 week to go until the World Cup starts. What?
I'm ready.
You're not playing.
Which stadium's atmosphere annoyed you the most?
When Stephen and I were...
I was just thinking about, are you going to say Chicago?
Yes.
I was just waiting to see
You never
that.
like going to Chicago?
With Clements and Peter Shilton.
Where are you looking?
Now,
Where are you looking?
I'm looking into the sky
Look
because
at your camera,
I'm just waxing...
Look at the number one. Go to Paul's camera and the number one
I didn't even know that was my camera. My name's not Dan Thomas.
Listen, he didn't even know it was a camera.
No, I didn't.
Take your glasses off. look at the camera.
No.
Put my light on. How's it going, everybody? Oh, you got your
eyes.
filthy mitts all over my glasses now.
Which camera should we say goodbye to Gab on? Oh, there it is, the red one.
Where is he? Oh.
I love that we can show that and we can laugh along with it. And what I love to be able to show as well is him and Stevie together, because that was such a sight. We all have our cubicles here, all of us. But for whatever reason, when Stevie and Paul were on the same show together, instead of sitting in separate cubicles, they would sit next to each other as if they were coaching still, side by side.
Like kids.
Stevie's there with like his napkin, he's eating whatever sandwich. Paul's next to him and they're watching just the eclectic mix of who knows what on YouTube. Paul is the loudest man you've ever met in your life. Who knows what anyone else was thinking. But I'm sure like you, Stevie was the first person I thought of today.
Yeah, and we know, because of those experiences, we know how strong that bond is. And you're thinking about Paul, you're thinking about Stevie, you're thinking about the relationship, you're thinking about us and the interactions that we've had. And one of the first thoughts that I had was, in fact, them two sitting in the cubicles together, because even though they're sitting together, we know from around the corner that they were there because of the incredibly loud laughter that Paul had. And when you turn that corner and you see Paul and he sees you and we're about to go to the studio and he makes you feel like you're the most important person in the world at that very moment. And I can hear him now saying, there he is. And he comes, shakes your hand, gives you a hug. And now we're talking and we're having a conversation. And for those 30 seconds, for a minute that we're talking, he made you feel like you were his world.
Yeah.
And you can't teach that. You can't fake that. You either have that or you don't. And Paul was so very generous with his love for other people and the relationships that we had here. It is really difficult to talk about Paul without breaking down. And I just have to say, I love that man.
Yeah. And just to epitomise, and there's just so many stories of his generosity. And one time he's over at my house, and my wife mentions that she loves the AC/DC, and it's incredible. Because he says, you know what? Next time they're in town, I'll take you backstage. You can meet them. We hear so many people say that, empty gestures. And you just kind of pass by. Next time they're in town, he took her. He didn't have to do that. And look, that just, honestly, that is more memorable than our wedding day for her, meeting AC/DC. And that's the sort of guy, the sort of guy that he was.
Yeah. Listen, it's tough. As you see, when I heard the news this morning, I sent Stevie a text straight away. And then I was doing all right during the course of the day, and coming into the gates here, it kind of hit me. And then, as seeing those videos did, there's something about working in this place, and you get to interact with people in a space that have seen it all and done it all in this game. We have Frank here, who's won the World Cup. You talk about Steve, his accolades. You see Paul's. And yet, Paul somehow always seemed to be the best of us. His achievements in the game did not weigh on him. He was happiest to see you. He would laugh at himself. He would tell stories. he really was the best of who this game asks us to be. And in a time over the last 18 months where, you know, we've spoken about life and death and passing, and it's been all around us in so many ways. And you know, death comes to us all. It's the circle of life, as they say. And then you remember Paul. You see Paul. You see the life that he brought to every single place that he was. And it's a hard circle to close. Thinking of Paul, how he was, and what he meant to every single person from the time you met him for 30 seconds. It's really difficult to make this seem real, to make this seem a part of life. We have to accept it. We'll all have to move on. But let's not forget the friendship and the example that Paul Mariner brought to, let's not forget the humanity that he brought to accomplishment and meeting people and how you impact their lives.
And to that point, Shaq, I would just say, people see what we put on screen and the segments that we put in our shows. And so you feel like you know Paul by watching him on the screen. The truth is some of the best work by Paul happened off screen, in between segments, in the conversations that we were having. You see that video and you get attached to him, but then the times that we had in between takes and the many stories that would come up that would make this superstar a human to us, just like Stevie, a superstar, a human to us. That's what makes it so incredibly difficult for us, because those interactions were real.
Yeah.
It's not just what you see on the screen.
Yeah.
It's the moments that we live together, and those things you just can't put a price on.
You know, of all the pundits, I think I'm the one who have known Paul the least. But I remember the first time I was in Paris in my studio, and we normally on off say, "Hey, Frank, how you doing?" Yeah. And the first time you told me, "Today we have on the show Paul Mariner." I say, "What? We have Paul Mariner?" I still have goosebumps, because that guy represented so much. And it's why maybe it's even harder to accept that, because he was our idol.
Yeah.
He comes from another football, another era. Maybe the youngest cannot understand that, but those players playing for Ipswich Town, nobody knows Ipswich Town now anymore. But when I had the chance to play in FA Cup with Chelsea, I went to Ipswich Town. And the only person I was thinking of was Paul Mariner about that. And when you say Paul Mariner is with us, he talked to me like he had known me forever.
It would have been, I imagine, "All right, Frankie!"
Frankie!
You didn't need the mic, you could hear it.
Yeah, have you been? I said, "What, is Paul Mariner talking to me?" And I came over, and I'm not enough time, I guess, sharing time with the guys, and it's been like fantastic fortnight for me to come over. Like it's been 3 years ago when I came over and I met Paul. I understand what you feel, guys, and I'm very sorry for you. And it was a shock also for me, but for other reasons, because I wasn't that close to him. But Stevie, represents something when we were young that we cannot even touch.
I want to welcome in Mark Donaldson, who has been writing Paul Mariner's biography. Mark, I suppose you knew already, considering all those people you've been reaching out to compile this book, what a loved man Paul Mariner was.
Yeah, since we put the front cover on social media, there are a number of people that have said, "Wait a minute, forward by Ian Gillan of Deep Purple." That was one of his best pals. And I got the message last night, Dan, when I was writing chapter 12 of the book. And I was actually laughing, because chapter 12 is music. It's his relationship with Ian Gillan. Deep Purple, one of the biggest bands of the 70s, disbanded and got back together at Leboeuf in 1985, their first gig back. So Mariner was invited by Ian Gillan to drink whiskey in the motorhome beforehand with Terry Butcher and Russell Osman. So then they went to the stage and they sat down beside the stage, and there was no one sitting in this place that they sat in. So they three decided they would sit there as well. They were sitting on £10,000 worth of fireworks, which, if they'd exploded, would have taken out 75,000 people. That was Paul Mariner.
Paul, I know you've reached out to a lot of former teammates and people that knew him well, Mark, and I imagine what you're hearing the boys describe in the studio is stories that you've heard from everyone around the world.
Yeah, you know what the funny thing is, Dan? Most of the stories that I've had, and I've spoken to like over 40 different people, and I've still got more people to speak to. Football is at the end of all the stories. There's always one, oh, by the way, we haven't really spoken much about football. Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. But the boys, I mean, I was getting teary. I've been like that. You've been like that all day. It's kind of hit us harder today, even though we knew what was coming. And his partner, Val, who obviously I'm liaising with regards to the book and getting contact numbers and various other things, she sent me a photo on midweek, I think it was Wednesday, when Paul was in his hospice bed watching the England game, and they'd put one of his England shirts on him. And there was a photo of him with Val, with George, his son, and with his mum, Peggy, who's in her early 90s. And Paul's got a smile on his face. That was the last photo they took of Paul Mariner, and he's got a smile on his face, and it meant the world to me, to everyone else. And I just hope that when this book comes out in a couple of months' time, that it can do him justice, because what a story this guy has got to tell. I've just got to tell it well for him, and I might put a wee bit of football in there as well.
Thank you very much, Mark. I want to bring in Alexis Nunes to the show as well, who was so close with Paul. Alexis, basically, when you moved to Connecticut, you developed this incredible relationship with him.
Yeah, Dan, you know, I did. And I mean, Shaka called me earlier when, of course, the news broke. And I mean, he didn't even have to say anything. And I just immediately broke down, because I think to know Paul Mariner was truly to love him. And, you know, everyone used to say that you're so lucky you have a co-worker that's like a father figure to you. And I used to tell people he's honestly my 68-year-old best friend. He was truly such an amazing person to meet. You know, I'm very thankful that I got to see him last week, and we were still, you know, cracking banter as much as he could, talking about how frustrated he still will forever be with Arsenal, how proud of this England setup he really is, and that he still tunes into the show ESPN FC no matter what. You know, he absolutely loved us all there, and I know that we loved him so much. And one of the things that I've really been taken aback with is the fact that people on social media have reached out, I know, to each one of us, and especially me, and said that they've all commented on Mariner's chemistry with each and every one of us, not just me. Of course, I was constantly posting him, but I think that that's something that, you know, Ale was talking about, and that's something you can't fake, something you can't buy. And there was definitely a special reason why it seemed like Mahrez got on with pretty much anybody that walked into that ESPN FC studio. And one thing that I will always remember for him is that in this job, you know, we talk about football so much, and we're taught to be really objective journalists and whatnot. And sometimes after years and years of doing that, it can nullify or neutralize your passion and your love for the game. You just watch it as just another game. And Mahrez never did that with the sport. He always showed his passion for any team he used to play for, whether it was Ipswich, whether it was Arsenal, whether it was England. You know, he always had such passion. And I think that that's something that I will forever remember. It reminds us of how lucky we are to be doing what we're doing. It reminds us why football really is a beautiful game, and it reminds us that, you know, it brought us all close to Paul Mariner. And I think that from this day forward, I hope we continue to do this show as passionately as we know Mahrez would have wanted us to.
Beautifully said, Alexis. Thank you very much. As Alexis says, a major outpouring on social media from a lot of our friends here. We knew it was coming, but yesterday when we lost our friend and colleague Paul Mariner, it was emotional to hear. The big man was such a gentleman. He lived life to the full and had done it all. Player, coach, GM, technical director, pundit, we're all going to miss you, big man. Meanwhile, Jan Åge Fjørtoft keeping it simple. RIP Paul Mariner was one of the strikers when I grew up. Jürgen Klinsmann, rest in peace, dear Paul. All our love and prayers go to the Mariner family. We lost a very, very special person in Paul. A dear friend, a fantastic footballer, a great manager, a fantastic pundit on TV, but most importantly, an amazing person and human being. Gab had the privilege of working with and spending time with a class act and a gentleman, and so much more than first met the eye. RIP, Paul. You leave a lot of light behind. It will continue to shine. Henry Winter, chief writer in England, heartbreaking news, RIP, Mariner, 68, FA Cup, UEFA Cup winner, 35 England caps, 13 goals, wonderful target man, fine coach, and just one of the loveliest people you could meet. Privileged to have watched you and known you, with Paul's family and friends. Peter Shilton, I'm so sorry to hear about the loss of Paul Mariner. I had the pleasure of playing with him in the England 82 World Cup. A great gentleman and terrific player. My condolences to his family at this sad time. This is hard. Steve Nicol. In Paul, we have lost a great player, a great coach, and most importantly, from a selfish point of view, a great friend and someone most incredible laughs with from the first second we met. I love that man. For more, let's hear from Ian and Taylor.
Well, this is such sad news about Paul. He'll be very sadly missed. I remember him as a very, very stylish striker. First of all for Plymouth Argyle, then Ipswich Town under Bobby Robson, and England. He played a European Championship at a World Cup as well. Great player, but an even greater guy, wasn't he?
Fantastic. My life changed forever when Steve Nicol hired Paul Mariner to come work with the Revs. I'm a better person because of him. He helped me enjoy the process more, Ian. I'm not even talking about soccer. I'm talking about life. But what I'm going to remember is the laugh, because you could be sitting anywhere in the world. If you heard that laugh, everyone in the building would look around, and in the place and in the bar would look around and say, you know what, I'm kind of jealous. I kind of want to be at that table because that guy seems to be having fun. But in all seriousness, from my point of view, I know Paul was in some real pain, so I'm happy he's out of that pain, and my thoughts go to his kids, to Val, and all of us are better people because we knew Paul.
I remember a couple of summers ago, I was with him in Chicago. We were covering one of those summer games. Manchester City were on tour. I always remember that black, jacket.
Oh yeah,
he used to like to wear all the time.
He loved his strap. He did, didn't he?
Yeah. I think he wore blue, of course. He wore blue for Ipswich Town, where he really made his name. Rest in peace, Paul. Peace.
Just the last tribute, this is from his son, George. I'm heartbroken. My dad yesterday after a brief battle with brain cancer. You were an incredible man, so selfless and so loving. You were the life and soul of the past. Whoever met you instantly adored you and fell in love with your charismatic personality. You represent a fantastic football clubs as well as the national team. We couldn't be with you as a family. Your legacy forever. You will always be and a hero to others who admired you, who admired your career. I hope we can bring it home today. I know you'll be there, willing. You were an incredible dad. I'll ever cherish my memories with you.